I've been thinking about difficulty in Pokemon games for a while, considering the fact that I've been playing quite a bit of them in recent times. Games like Platinum, Pokemon Y, Ultra Moon, and Pokemon Sword, and frankly, I do feel these games try to make each individual one a little bit harder, but I feel it's just with certain fights that are just hard, and I feel they're not overly difficult. A lot of these problems I feel are just problems that the series have in general because the game's been going on for a long time and they just reuse the same ideas for leaders and stuff. I feel that future games can improve on them. Also no, I really don't think that the Pokemon in the main game are the really problem here because I feel you can actually make the games difficult just by having different movesets, patterns, and whatever else. And I really hope for something like Generation 9, Game Freak actually changes the formula and can actually make the games a bit harder. Note that I will be mostly talking about the boss fights since those are where the most of the problems lie since they are supposed to be the hardest trainers in the region, so I feel again they can actually just change those up the most. And again, by boss fights I also do mean other fights like the evil team, rival fights, and again the gym leaders. How a lot of the bosses normally are in Pokemon I have a problem with, or at very least again the gym leaders, Elite Four, and the Totem Pokemon Gen 7. And frankly they all follow a single type, which is kind of just annoying. In the case in Gen 7, at least the Totem Pokemon can summon Pokemon of different types, but I just feel it just kind of ruins it, at least for me. Mostly because, as you can kind of guess, the type of the Pokemon you can kind of guess beforehand, and all you have to do is prepare for the weakness. And again, Gen 7 does this a bit better since I feel the devs actually spent a bit more time thinking of strategies in these fights. Like for example, I think the Fairy Trial had the Pokemon like heal up the Fairy type Pokemon, I can't remember the name, but they had that, and then you had the Lurantis fight, and then you also had the Togedemaru fight, which was pretty cool. And again, these fights do feel actually kind of hard if you just don't over level and just spam the Z moves, but the other games with gyms I feel have the biggest problems. I do think a good way to actually change this is by making each main fight not follow a single type or theme, and by theme I mean that the evil teams should not really use the same types of Pokemon because by that point you can kind of guess what they're going to use and you could just use the weaknesses against them because they're not going to change up, that's for sure. And I do think it ruins a lot of the fights just because it just boils it down to use the super effective attack and win. And you could say that earlier on the games are hard because there aren't really as much types as you want, but even then I do feel the early game can be kind of easy since the first gym leader can be easily beat by like a couple of Pokemon because say in Gen 3 where it's a rock type leader, you can have Mudkip or Trico, or you can catch a Lotad, Seedot, and then maybe even if you evolve your Torchic, you can just use Double Kick, and again, there actually is quite a bit of options. But in say something like Diamond Pearl, where you have 5 actual fire types, I can kind of see how that can be kind of difficult in some cases, but even then there are some other types of Pokemon you can catch to help you beat stuff like Gardenia and just other types of Pokemon. And a few of these Pokemon can actually learn fire type attacks, so in some cases in the mid game to late game, stuff like the 7th leader can actually be quite easier, at least in Diamond Pearl, because it is ice type and you could probably find a Pokemon that learns fire type attacks or even fighting type attacks. So again, some of the stuff made to later game can be a bit easier. So the change I do suggest has to be having the leaders just have a certain style to follow it. What I mean by this is that each leader can actually have a different gimmick. For example, you can actually have one leader try to prevent one-shot kills, like by having Pokemon that have story or by having Pokemon buff up their defenses. This way you can actually have variety of Pokemon, that way they don't follow in a single type. Another leader can also maybe send around status attacks and then use moves like Hex. This way you can actually have, again, various types of Pokemon because a lot of Pokemon can learn stuff like Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisps, so I feel you can actually have some strategy in what you do and also think about some of their abilities. Like for the status attack team, you can maybe have a natural cure member where you can just swap it out and then boom, now they don't have it anymore. Or maybe you can just send out a Pokemon that's immune to it, because I think, say if you use a Will-O-Wisp attack on a fire type, then the fire type will not be like affected just because Will-O-Wisp cannot just do that to fire type Pokemon. So naturally it works like that, I'm pretty sure, unless they get like a secondary effect off, but kind of get what I mean. Then they can also have different types of battle systems in place, or maybe different team setups. And say for the battle, like different battle formats, you can have a leader that uses triple battles, and then they can also have maybe weather teams. But I do feel that this is a lot more open and can create a more natural challenge in the game, just because you are using a lot of different Pokemon other than like a single type. It's also giving the Pokemons actual competitive movesets and actually stuff to help them out in battle a lot more often. For example, maybe you can give Roxanne from Gen 3 and her Geodudes a bunch more defensive sets, where you can have stuff like Stealth Rocks and other moves to take advantage of their stats. Of course, you don't give it stuff like Earthquake since it is the first gym leader, but you can give it other moves. Moves like Fire Punch to help out with the grass weakness, Sucker Punch since it has low speed, and stuff like Counter, because then you can actually, say if you hit it with a physical fighting type attack, then you could just flick it back, and that is if it survives. Then there's also giving the Pokemon good IVs and EVs, and I don't really think this has been done before as much, so obviously this would actually help. This will help make the battles more difficult, because you can actually have Pokemon have more niches in the battles. Like as the Geodude I mentioned, you can actually have it give more EVs to like attack, defense, and special defense to help it survive battle. And of course, you can actually give them hold items, give them good natures, and give them other stuff that actually help them out. Like maybe again the Geodude can maybe just have like leftovers since it's a generally more bulky mon, so you can just do stuff like that. Another idea I had is having every single gym leader have a slightly different team on each run, but of course they still fit into certain themes. Other than their ace Pokemon, they can actually have again different teams that make it feel more unique and make you think on your toes a lot more often. But of course not every Pokemon should be eligible, and maybe they give each leader like 4 or 6 different Pokemon that they can use, but only like out of all of those options they only use like say 2 to 4 depending on how much they actually have. For example, there could be a leader that if you hit them with a super effective attack or a negative effect like a status attack, it boosts them in some way. So in this case, you can use the Wooly-Coly line with Steam Engine, Espeon or Waltz with Synchronize, or again the Waltz line, the Drifloon line with Flare Blues, Gallade with Steadfast, and other options like that. Here are 10 options, all evolutions are counted, and frankly, I think this is really cool because all they really have to do is program like the gym leader with certain Pokemon and just randomize it every single time. And again, this can make everything just feel a lot more cooler and a lot more harder. Of course, these are some of the ideas I had that Pokemon can do in the future to actually make them harder, because I feel a lot of the older games again just have the same ideas put over and over again, and frankly just not a lot of difficulty in a lot of them. The reason why I wanted to make this video was because I was playing Pokemon Platinum and I managed to sweep the second leader with a Kricketune, and Kricketune is generally known to be a pretty weak Pokemon because it is, but still I think the fact that I didn't grind with Kricketune because he was about 2 to 3 levels under the gym leader, and I just think that like if I can do that with a Pokemon that's generally considered to be way weaker, I feel like these games won't really balance all that well because you can just easily sweep a gym with a single Pokemon. And this is why I feel like some champions are harder, champions like Cynthia, Leon, Aldo, and even in some cases Lance. And I feel like all the other bosses had some other level of thought put into them, just because if the trainers can have cool teams, then I feel like the gym leaders can have way cooler teams. But of course, what do you guys think can make Pokemon harder other than adding a difficulty setting? Let me know in the comments, and thank you guys for watching.